Amen, Sound Discovery Team. Well, if you heard the sound yesterday, then you know what this is. If not, you definitely need a hint. Shake on it because it's too hard to guess alone. Check it out. Yeah, that right there. I mean, I can't imagine anybody guessing that without a hint, without some help. But that right there is a handshake, an agreement. You know, in the last episode, we talked about being agreed, making an agreement, having an agreement, and how the example I gave was like a lemonade stand. You know, your friend, you're good friends. You're going to go into business together. Why not? You're going to sell some lemonade, and you're each going to contribute $10, and you'll split the profits. You talk it over. You agree on it, you shake hands, it's an agreement, right? And the question here is, in that agreement, okay, do you have to keep your side of the agreement? I mean, you made an agreement with somebody. Let's say you don't give $10 and yet you want half the profits. Or you give $10 but you want to keep all the profits. Well, you made an agreement and now you're breaking it. Well, that's how things end up in court, friend. That's called, civil court. Amen. Small claims court. Not a fun place. But I'll tell you what, they stay very busy, don't they? The courts stay very busy. Seems like every day there's a lawsuit about some disagreement about the agreement. Oh, man, seriously, like lawyers stay so busy because of all the lawsuits. You ever look at somebody that was rich and they die? All of a sudden, all the relatives are fighting over the money. They're relatives. They're related. Why are they tripping over each other to fight for money? Or instead of tripping over each other, kicking each other trying to fight for money? The reason why is in man's sin, they often cannot properly agree on things. That's how you often end up in court or you have problems. In fact, it's so rare that when you really do have a handshake agreement and you keep it, it's so rare, it's viewed as exceptional, as precious, as righteous, as upstanding. I remember reading about a man that had a very successful business in the restaurant business, and he bought more potatoes, it seemed like, than anybody else. And they said, "Sir, where do you buy your potatoes?" And he said, "Thus and such farm and thus and such Idaho." I went down there, I shook the man's hand, and that's it. They said, "You don't have a contract, sir?" "No." "But you buy millions and millions of pounds of potatoes." "Yes." "And you just shook his hand. It was just a handshake agreement?" "Yes." And they did a whole TV story about it. They put it on, I think it was cable TV. It was a big story about this handshake agreement. Literally, it's breaking news. Literally, it's news when someone can keep an agreement. Because so often, even with written contracts, and this goes very deep. This, when you sign up for like a app or something, and they make you check off the terms of service, which seems like nobody ever reads, the small print stuff, and you got to check it off or sign it or click yes or whatever. Well, in those terms of service, often there's arbitration clauses. Oh, that's a big word that means that they're going to make you go to their little court or to like a little court in general where they can't take a lot of money from the company. It's so bad that the companies know prior to you agreeing to use their service, they know it's going to get ugly. It's so bad. That's the world we live in. God, in his covenants or agreements, is unique in that he doesn't need you to keep your end of the bargain. These covenants or agreements transcend even your end of the bargain. He keeps it. And so when you look at this covenant, like the Abrahamic covenant, what we were talking about from Genesis chapter 12, 1 through 3, and then you can see later on in Genesis, verse 7, God's number of completion, by the way. "And the Lord appeared unto Abram and said, Unto thy seed will I give this land. And there builded he an altar unto the Lord who appeared unto him." Okay, so God gives a whole land. This is Canaan land, what we would look at as Israel, but really Israel's just a portion of the land that God gave to Abraham. And if you want to get very serious about it, the Jews, that's Abraham's relatives, literally have brought the Bible to court to use as an exhibit in front of the judge when other people are saying, no, it's our land. The Jews say, no, look at what God said to Abraham, it's our land. So this agreement that God made is still being fought about thousands and thousands of years later. Dozens of centuries later, I don't know how else to say it, many, many years later, they're still fighting over what Abraham was promised. But what's so crazy about God keeping his promise is we didn't keep our side of the bargain. And so you typically have a covenant or agreement that is conditional. right? Like you bring your part to the lemonade stand and they'll bring their part. You get your share of the profits, they get their share of the profits, if there are any, by the way, right? It's conditional. You do this, you do that, right? It's an agreement. Can you imagine going to work, working for a boss that doesn't pay you, and they keep wanting you to work? You could say, no, I'm not showing up. It's a conditional agreement. They can't make you go unless you're a slave, but if you're not a slave, they can't make you go. Well, what's an unconditional agreement? An unconditional agreement means that no matter what the other side does, God still keeps his promise. That's this unconditional agreement that God makes with his people. He says, I know you're going to be disobedient, and I know you're going to face the wages of sin, which is death. And I know that you're going to face so much trouble from the sin curse. And I know you're going to face so much trouble from your lack of faith and all the rest. But no matter what, I'm going to keep a group of people to fulfill, again, multiple covenants. The covenant with Noah, right, to fulfill that, because God would never flood the earth again. He's never going to wipe out humanity. The covenant with David, the agreement he made with David, that someone would always be there to rule and reign from David's throne, that it would never be wiped out. And the covenant with Abraham, that he would give him that land and this people. And this is why, and this gets very deep, and for time's sake, I know it's hard to get very deep in 8 minutes or whatever it may be before we get to our kind of concluding remarks about winning a sticker. But if you think about it, this is why God is so great, because he doesn't need us to keep up our end of the bargain for him to offer his grace. And just as his grace is so beautiful in keeping his covenant with Abraham that he has till this day, you can literally go to Israel, you can literally see the Jewish people there and all the rest. Like, God has kept his part of the deal and will until he returns, in which he will still keep it. Yet we fall so short. And it's his unmerited favor that allows these covenants to exist, because he's unconditional in keeping it, when we often are, conditional, where we have to in our covenants. But when you look at the Lord and you look at Jesus Christ, and maybe we'll get into this in the next episode, you see this idea that his love is unconditional to us, and that no matter what we've done, when we believe on Jesus Christ, we're saved and born again. When we believe on Jesus Christ, we have unconditional, unmerited favor from God himself. He's made the promise, we simply believe, and he'll do the rest. How wonderful is God? It's such a beautiful truth about God. All right, let's get to the next part of the program. Stay tuned. All right. Now we have a new update here. You might have just skipped past this. Don't skip past it, because this is new here, friend. We are now doing a monthly sticker, a new sticker every month, one sticker a month for those that fill out our form. So you don't have to worry about how many stickers you're going to get or which sticker you'll get. Each month. Yeah, there you go. I'm getting through it. Each month, you'll get a new sticker if you fill out the form. So once a month, we're going to send out one sticker. Because you guys have been so good, we've gone through so many stickers that we're at the point now where we just have to give one new one out a month to make sure it's fresh and new, and that's manageable for us. But anybody is eligible that listens to the program. All you have to do is go to kidskjv.com. That's kidskjv.com/gift, GIFT. That's kidskjv.com/gift. Have your mom, dad, guardian go to that page, fill out the form for you, and you will get the monthly sticker in the mail for that month. So right now it's August. Maybe you hear this in September or October or November. Whatever month you fill out the form, you get that month's free sticker. So that is the exciting new change here. Make sure that everybody does get a new sticker when they sign up, and keeps things manageable for us, just sending them out once a month. All right, make sure you subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Look up Sound Discovery Team. Make sure you tell all your friends about Sound Discovery Team as well. And thank you so much for listening to the program. You are very much appreciated. All right, Sound Discovery team, that's it for today. Tune in next time. Take care. God bless. Amen.